Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Josh, back again with another episode. So today I want to talk about how I let sneaker buying ruin my credit. So you know that age between 18 and 22. You're on your way to college. You're trying to explore the world. You're trying to build up your credit and stuff like that. So at that time, during those college years, I was working part-time in dietary, maybe bringing home, I don't know, probably like $250 to $300 a week or whatever, It is what it is. Plus getting like the school checks and stuff like that. So I still, love sneakers, and I was still buying a lot of sneakers and stuff like that. It's just that I didn't have a lot of money to keep up with all the releases that was coming out. I mean, Jordan was dropping like, a pair of Jordans every single week. You get a whole month of just Jordans dropping. It's like, I want everything. So like I said, didn't really have that much money during that time or whatever. So a friend of mine's had told me about PayPal credit. And he said that, you can use it as a way to buy more Jordans, but, without having to use your own hard-earned money. So I'm like, all right, I'm game. Let me go try it out. So I went to PayPal, put in my financial information, stuff like that. They end up giving me about $1,500. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's lit. All right, let's do this. So instead of using that credit wisely, I was like literally buying a pair of Jordans every single week, trying to keep up with all the releases. So, Jordans cost between like $190 to $200. I think, like I said, this is probably like 10 years ago. So they're probably like between $170 and $190 instead of the, typical $190 that they are now. But anyway, though, so, you do the math. A pair of Jordans at, let's just say, I don't know, $170 a pop. That right there is about, I don't know, I'm not that good with the math. It's probably about $1,100 or something like that. And I only had $1,500 of credit available. So I pretty much used 85% of that money. And, they do give you the special financing. Anything that you buy over $100, you get 6 months to pay back with no interest. The issue was that I was not able to pay back any of those purchases within that 6 month special financing time frame. So when I went outside of that 6 month no interest rate frame, the interest rate jumps up to, it goes from 0% to 27%. And that is a lot. So, here I am paying 27% on, the $1,200 that I use. I found myself not able to keep up with the payments. And when you're not able to keep up the payments, and I was late with the payments. So since I was late with the payments, it made my credit score drop significantly. I mean, I was in the low 500s, like seriously. And I just wasn't being real responsible because I just did not think, I did not think about the consequences of, using all my credit on things that didn't make me money back. I was just being real selfish and just not really thinking about, future Josh and what that and what that does to me. I wasn't well versed, in how credit works at that age. So yeah, not being well versed in how credit works, I was setting myself up for, future failure. So we flash forward 2 years later, I'm still paying on that $1,400 tab that I have with PayPal at 27% interest rate. So after 2 years, the balance does drop down from 14, but only drops down to $1,100. And I'm just like, I've been paying these guys $100 a month, which is not a lot, but it's the only thing I can afford at that time because I'm in college only working part-time. So I'm paying them $100 a month, and I'm just like, it only dropped down to It only dropped down to $1,100. I'm like, what's going on here? So one day when I made a payment, one day when I got the statement in the mail, I decided to actually look at it and read it. It's very important to read your statements and look at the breakdown of the payment that I send them each month. So that $100 payment that I was sending them each month, $76 was going towards interest, and only $14 was going towards the principal. So they were killing me in interest. And I'm just like, yo, I got to do something about this. I cannot. I feel like I'm gonna be paying on this for the rest of my life. How can I do something about this or whatever? So my mother, I talked to my mother about it and stuff like that. So she was like, what you have to do is go to your bank and get a consolidation loan. So that remaining balance that's on there of $1,100 something or whatever, your bank will send them a check, and then you basically will pay your bank back for paying off PayPal. Hopefully they will give you a lower interest rate. So I went to the bank. I did that. I sat down with the banker. He reviewed my credit, and as he's looking at the screen, I'm looking at him. He is just making the most craziest faces I have ever seen. Like, he's just sitting there looking at my credit like, I'm like, are you good, sir? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, no, everything's fine. He's just saying, like, this is just really, really bad. Like, the interest rate that they're charging you, and the late payments, none of this is helping you, and I'm pulling your credit score, and your credit score is only a 510. And I'm like, wow, like, I'm thinking that I'm going to get denied for like the consolidation loan and stuff like that. But luckily he was like, if you can get somebody, family member, friend, or whoever, somebody that trusts you or whatever the situation, to co-sign on this, who has, better record and on-time payments, I can give you the loan. So me, I was very embarrassed in that moment. I was very embarrassed because, I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I was, stupid or whatever. And then on top of that, I gotta, go ask a friend or family member to, help me get this consolidation loan so I could pay off basically bad decisions that I made 2 years prior. So, I had to swallow my pride and just like, I got to do this because I know it's going to be better for me later on, so I have to do it. So basically, I went back home. I talked to my parents about it and stuff like that. And my dad, who has good credit, he was like, I'll co-sign on there for you, and even in fact, I'll help you pay some of that. So at that time I was like 23 and stuff like that. So I was like really embarrassed because I was just like, how can I do this? How can I have, my parents paying, helping me pay a bill that I racked up? That was stupid. So yeah, so even after, my father helped me out with that little consolidation loan, actually helping me, him co-signing and also helping me make payments, I was able to get that paid off within a year and a half. And also, raise my credit score from a 510 up to, I think, like maybe like a 570, 580, whatever. So yeah, so at that point, I'm out of school, I'm looking for a job, I'm looking to, get out the parents' house, live my life like a real adult. So I come across this nice paying job. It was paying like $17.50 an hour. It was for a local business that was like the owner, the business basically specialized in like doing like gold for cash, or I'm sorry, cash for gold and stuff like that. So basically they buy gold and you give them cash. So, I went in, I applied for the job, I got an interview. I got through phase one of the interview. The second and final phase of it was to sit down with the owner and the store manager. and just basically let them know about you and tell them why you're good for this. So I basically killed that interview. I mean, I killed it so well that at the end of the interview, the owner and the store manager basically were like, "Hey, Josh, we're interviewing 4 other people besides yourself. Well, we have interviewed 4 other people besides yourself, but you're really, really good. I really believe that you'll be good at this position, and we definitely, definitely want to move forward with this. We just have to do a background check and a credit check." So me, I heard background check, so I'm like, I'm not worried about that. I never did nothing illegal, never been fired, never stole, never did nothing like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I had this job, with no problem. So yeah, so they said that we'll do a credit check and background check, and we'll let you know within a week and a half. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I get really excited. I tell my parents about it, that I killed this interview and that I'm gonna have this job where I can afford to move out their house and into my own apartment. So I go apartment hunting. I find a nice little apartment in Liverpool. If you're from Syracuse like me, you know exactly where that's at. Nice area, whatever. So I found this nice 1-bedroom apartment. I forgot how much it was a month or whatever, but it was something that I could afford as long as I was able to get that job. So, I fill out the application and stuff like that. They do background checks, they do credit checks. So I'm like, once again, I'm only paying attention to the background check because I'm like, oh, that's nothing. I can afford it, and I don't have any criminal records. So that's another one that's in the bag. So I'm excited. So a week and a half goes by. I get a call from the apartment complex. They was like, Josh, unfortunately, we won't be able to, give you the apartment. We got your credit back, and your credit score is a little bit too low for what we would like to see in a future tenant. Your credit score is a 570. So I'm like, okay, I'm sad about it because I'm really excited to get out my parents' house and live out on my own and stuff like that. But there's other places I can apply to, but I really like that one. But that already had me sad because I just really was hoping to move out like that week and just be gone. So I'm already down about that or whatever, but I'm like, at least I still will have a good job and I could just go find something else. You know what I'm saying? There's other places to live. So I'm hyping myself up like, oh, don't be down about it. It is what it is. So the next day I get a call back from that company that I applied for. So I'm already just waiting. I'm excited to pick up the phone because I know he's just gonna be like, oh, Josh, you started on Monday. No, not at all. So I answer the phone. He says, hey, how you doing today, Mr. Maston? I'm saying I'm doing well. And he's like, Mr. Maston, we really want you here like how we told you. We believe and still believe that you are the best candidate for this, but unfortunately we have to move forward with another candidate. So my face just drops. I'm like, huh? So I asked, I said, well, you guys really like me in the interview, why the sudden change of heart? And he's like, well, he didn't say it like this, but I could read in between the lines. So basically he said that the owner is really big on cash clerks having good credit scores, because to the owner, like I said, he didn't say it to me like this, but to the owner, having good credit is a good indication of if you're going to basically steal or not. Like I said, he didn't say that, so I can't use it against him, but basically that's what he was alluding to. So basically the owner was not happy with my 570 credit score, so he decided to pass me up. Even though I was perfect for the job, he decided to pass me up because my credit score was low. So basically a mistake that I had made 4 years earlier, buying all those Jordans, not making on-time payments, using up all my credit and just making bad financial decisions because of sneakers. I lost out on a good apartment, a chance to move out of my parents' house, and I also lost out on, a good paying job. So, you know, at that point, you know, I felt very, very, very low because I'm just like, you know, how can I, you know, how can I do this to myself? How can I have sabotage future Josh for a pair of sneakers? It just felt really, really, really stupid, and I just didn't know at that point. I didn't know what to do or whatever.